Hey, this is James from All Hail Internal Combustion. On today's episode of I'm in Hell, we're going to work on this fan. Belongs to a friend of ours. It's got a major coolant leak, and James Jr. said it was coming from somewhere on the top end. We did do a water pump in this thing probably a year ago, and it's been fine up until recently, and the owner said that this thing's going through about a gallon of antifreeze a week, which you know, usually don't start that large unless something catastrophic went on, but, you know, bring it to us when it's really bad. Yeah, that works. But, first I'm going to start off by taking all this crap off the top of the engine so I can actually get in there and work. This thing is just really cluttered because it's a van, but most of the bigger stuff does come out relatively easy. So I'm going to go ahead and start ripping it apart and take the airbox off, take the coolant overflow tank off, and boy, this thing smells like antifreeze. So let's see what's going on. Now, when you're taking stuff apart and you're diagnosing things, you need to look for signs along your way. Now, the first thing I kind of noticed was this is where the overflow tank was mounted, and I'm seeing all this here that's running down, and it starts in the corner. And on this particular tank, it's got the line that goes to the radiator coming in right there, and all underneath the bottom of that was wet. So we might have a compromised hose. I mean, does look like it has a honking crack in it. So that could be problem number one. But even with that happening, it would not explain the amount of orange coolant that we got down there on top of the water pump. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and pull the radiator hose off of it and inspect that real good, because it does look like the drip has been pouring from around the water neck area and going down on everything else. And as you can see, this is a new water pump, still in good shape. So I'm going to pull the upper radiator hose off of it, and then I'm going to pull the fan shroud so I can get a better look at the front of the engine. I don't work on too many newer Chevrolets. Kind of stopped liking them in the 80s and late 80s, early 90s. Some cars were still okay, but so this thing's got a radiator hose on it, the upper radiator hose, and it's got these molded on little pieces that I just cut off of here because I don't like these clamps. But like, you're gonna bond your radiator hose to a clamp doesn't really seem like a smart idea. I mean, these are heavy duty clamps, and when you pinch them, they do lock open. I'd really hate to see what kind of damage my face is going to take when I try and unlock them, so I'm going to slip them into the trash can and replace these with some good ones. So what I found here is on the side that, sorry about the sunlight, on the side that goes down towards the motor, it's spongy. The clamp didn't look like it was holding it really good, and just the way it's still pliable, but it's like too pliable, if you know what I mean. It's kind of spongy. So I'm thinking this might be part of our problem, but I'm still going to get that fan shroud out of the way so I could take a good look at the front of the motor. And it kind of sucks because I just splashed some antifreeze down in here where I need to be looking, but I can definitely tell the old marks from the new stuff. So I'm going to get this upper fan shroud out of the way and see what's going on. Alright, so I got the fan shroud off of it, and I also went ahead and I pulled the lower radiator hose. And just to double check that the thermostat gasket was okay. It looked like it was okay. It came apart a little funny, like it had a very distinct tear in it. And that was the gasket that came with the thermostat for when we put this water pump on here. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new gasket out of gasket material for this thing and get some gasket sealer on there and get this thing buttoned up and let it dry. And then I'll probably spray down the front of the engine with some degreaser and try and get rid of the orange, so that way if this thing decides to act up again, it'll mark fresh spots. Okay, so got the gasket surface all cleaned up on the thermostat housing and the flange that it mounts to on the water pump, and made a gasket, popped that in there with a very, very light coat of gasket sealer. Sorry about the sun. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this set up and start putting everything back together. I do need to go out and get an upper radiator hose for this thing, so we'll be back.
I cleared it.
Alright, so we got our funnel on here and we're burping the air out of the system, and it's slowly starting to come up to temperature. Didn't see any leaks down in the engine anywhere. So hopefully this will be a wrap up on this one and it's not anything more severe. Because I got one story from the owner at one point. He said it was blowing white smoke out the tailpipe, and I sure in the hell don't see no white smoke coming out no tailpipe. So that, you know, basically blew that one. So it had a leak, and hopefully what we did fix the leak. So this is James from All Hail Internal Combustion. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we will try not to bring you any more van content unless it's something cool like a 69 with a doghouse or something.
8 vans.
8 vans.
8 vans.
See y'all later. Have a good night.